Welcome to the first edition of the 2021-2022 Tiger Time News. I'm Alexis Williams.
And I'm Juliana Walton. Let's get started. This year started with a few new changes to the school environment. Alexis Williams and Becca Bryant have the story.
I talked to Ms. Ure about the significance and meaning behind her positive impact on the school, her dopamine boards. Ms. Ure, what inspired you to add the dopamine boards to the hallway?
Last year, Miss Davis and I, we talked about how we wanted to know more about what was going on in the lives of our students and how sometimes things can slip through the cracks. And so by finding a way to better interact, we could spread school news, whether it be positive or negative, to allow for prayers and thoughts to go to those people that need it.
Why was it important to you that they were interactive?
Communication is sometimes one way, especially between adults and our youngers. And so I wanted it to be a dialogue, not just a one-way transaction. And again, we don't know unless you tell us, and we want you to tell us more.
Did you pick this location of the boards for a specific reason?
It was closest to the library, and Miss Taylor is always very helpful and energetic about ways to better interact with students. So I knew that she would be helpful and they would be in her proximity, and she would contribute, as well as Miss Davis and I, which Miss Davis isn't here right now with us, but she helps me keep on top of it.
Do you have any hopes or ideas for more interactive and positive opportunities like this for the school year?
I would like to see us going further and putting out more boards like that, and possibly even switching over to a more technically advanced version where students could interact with their phones on maybe a smart TV that was hanging up, and we could do more polls and even take suggestions from students.
Thank you. The students have enjoyed interacting with the boards and the positive environment it has brought to the school.
I asked Ms. Cranford some questions regarding the school's new motto, Living the Green Life. Ms. Cranford, how did you get the idea of living the green life?
Living the Green Life actually came from a professional development that we had this summer. Several teachers attended that professional development, and we became the safari team. And our goal was to create a new culture in the school this year, one that was positive and uplifting for both the teachers and the students. So, having been through COVID last year and assuming that this year would be different, we all agreed on the theme of Living the Green Life, which was actually Miss Tim's idea, the name of the theme, because it stands for green. Our school colors stand for growth, renewal, rejuvenation, growth, and we want those things for our students. So we decided to come up with different ways to promote that in our school. And one of those ways was by having the first day of school, the first half day, to do things differently. We didn't give out syllabuses. We didn't give out rules. We just had activities each period to get to know our kids. So by doing that, we hope to create unity in relationships between the students and teachers.
How is living the green life going to benefit this school year?
I think if we keep that in mind, even through struggling with the new COVID outbreak, every day is a new chance to change and grow and renew. So I think if we keep that in mind, and we keep in mind that we have to look at things differently sometimes in order to make things work, and there has to be a relationship, and we have to work together. If we pull together, then everything's going to be okay.
Should students be expecting any fun activities this school year?
Yes, we hope to have at least 3 celebrations to enhance their school year. The first one is kind of a surprise because we're going to be introducing some things to them that they've not seen yet. We're going to be celebrating some of their accomplishments. They don't even know that they've accomplished some of them. So, and the goal is to make sure that everybody in the school, every student in the school, does feel a sense of accomplishment. So everybody at the end of this will have grown
Thank you. The decorations made for a fun first day and a nice break from the usual routine. Back to you.
BCHS has several new faculty members this year, as well as some new head coaches. Paige Stallworth and Mary Anderson conducted brief interviews with each of them.
We talked to the new teachers about joining the BCHS staff.
We also talked to the new coaches about taking on their new positions. Coach Barnes, you coach baseball and have helped with other sports, but tell us what it's like being a teacher.
It's amazing. I really do take joy out of being up here and hanging out with you guys.
What did you do prior to teaching?
I cut grass for a living.
What was your inspiration to become a teacher?
I think it was my grandmother. She taught in the school system for over 30 years, and she really just took a lot of joy in being a teacher, and she was probably one of the biggest inspirations for me.
Have you ever worked at any other schools?
I worked at Toon Elementary School for 5 years, and I also worked at Bolivar Elementary School for 2 years as well.
Being a new teacher in high school, tell us how it's different.
The conversations with the kids, for sure. I like to talk to y'all like y'all are adults, so the conversations were a little different for a kindergartner than they are a 15, 16, 17-year-old, but that's probably the biggest difference so far.
How do you spend your time outside of school?
Well, I enjoy, being out in the country. I enjoy, playing with my nephew and hanging out with my family mostly.
Thank you.
What did you do prior to teaching?
I was a full-time personal trainer, and then before that I worked at a small college in North Mississippi at Blue Mountain College.
Right. What inspired you to come into teaching here at Bolivar Central?
So the cards just kind of fell in place for me, and I've always wanted to work with students, work with young people, and try to help inspire them, so I'm really excited to do that.
Is there a reason that you were interested in biology?
So I was an exercise science major in college. I took almost every science class you can think of. I'm just kind of a science guy. I really enjoy every topic in science, so I'm really excited to get going.
What is something you're most excited for this school year?
I'm really excited to build new relationships, get to know everybody, being in a new place. Everybody's been really friendly so far, and I've loved it, and I'm just excited to continue to do that.
All right, thank you. What did you do prior to teaching?
I've been a nurse for 6 years. I've worked labor and delivery and in clinics during that time.
What brought you here to Bolivar Central High School?
My husband and I relocated, and we're living closer, so when the opportunity to teach came up, I just couldn't pass it up.
This is the first year we've had a nursing class. Can you explain what this class is?
Yes, this class teaches students to become certified nursing assistants. When they complete the course, they can take the test to become certified and go to work. Nursing assistants work in nursing homes, caring for those residents, and learn skills such as bed baths and helping those residents live their life.
All right, thank you. Miss Knox, what made you want to become a teacher?
I wanted to become a teacher because I've always loved just helping people get the things that they need. I love to inspire, so what better way than be a teacher?
What are some goals for yourself and your students this year?
A goal for myself this year is to learn all of my students' name. And a goal that I have for my students is I want them to be able to take away something from personal finance. I want them to be able to know how to save, budget, and not to just spend their money so frivolously. So I just want them to be good money managers.
All right. What brought you here to BCHS?
I'm originally from Bolivar. I am a class of 89, so I've been here all my life. But what brought me back was my love of students, my love of teaching, and just an overall thriving relationship between the students. That's what brought me back to BCHS.
Thank you. What brought you here to Bolivar Central High School?
Well, I'm originally from Bolivar. I met my husband, and we've been traveling because he's military, and we just recently got back to my hometown.
Right. What do you teach here?
I teach Spanish 1 and 2.
What is a goal for yourself or your students you have this year?
A goal for myself is to get through my first year, and a goal for my students is to get them to a point where they feel comfortable taking a foreign language in college.
Right. Thank you. What brought you here to Bolivar Central High School?
I actually graduated from Bolivar Central in 2009. I took the culinary arts class when I was here, and I wanted to come work closer to home and really just give back to my community.
How will COVID affect your students being in the kitchen this year?
It will affect because some may or may not be able to get into the kitchen every day. We may have to limit how many are in the kitchen, but we're going to try to make the best of it.
What is one goal for yourself and your students for this school year?
One goal for myself is to get the children and students more interested into cooking, learning more about cooking, wanting to cook at home, and maybe even have some to go to culinary arts school.
All right, thank you. Besides coaching the girls basketball team, what else do you do here at Bolivar Central?
I teach physical science, which can be mostly freshmen. This is my third year teaching that, which I taught it at Dyer County and here as well.
What are you most excited for this school year?
Well, I've got a great group of girls that are ready to work, and they've been here every day, working hard, competing every day with each other. And, I'm just excited to see how they do this season. We're going to be in a new district, and we're really excited about that and to see how we compete this year.
How has teaching and coaching here at Bolivar been different from at Dyer County High School?
Well, really, it's been about the same. We've got a great administration here. We've got great kids. And as far as my team, like I said earlier, they just want to compete every day, and they come in here with a great mindset to work hard every day, and it's been a real big blessing.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Puckett, as a new teacher at BCHS, what are your goals and expectations this school year?
Well, my goals for myself involve adjusting to teaching full-time and also to work on the balance that comes with that. And my goals for my students involve reaching not only our goals in my subject, but also in other similar subjects and life in general.
What motivated you to become a teacher?
Reason one is I'm a bit of an academic and there aren't that many other jobs available to us. Reason two is I enjoy helping students learn and grow and reach the potential that they can have in life.
How do you plan to make model students?
Well, I start out by having high expectations. I expect students to do their work and turn in their work and try their best, and if they do those things, then they should be able to get good grades and do well.
Thank you.
Bolivar Central High School welcomes the new teachers and coaches to the staff.
In the wake of the new Delta variant of COVID, Eli Grantham talked with Principal Mary Ann Polk about how the pandemic has already altered this school year.
A new school year brings new challenges related to COVID. I spoke to Principal Mary Ann Polk on possible schedule changes and Governor Bill Lee's decisions. Ms. Polk, with so many teachers out due to positive COVID cases and possible exposure to the COVID-19 virus, how has this been affecting the ability of getting substitutes to help out in the classroom?
So hi, Eli. It's a pleasure to finally get to have this interview. So yeah, getting substitutes has been a major issue, primarily because they have the option to come on the premises. We've only had about 3 to say, no, put me on the waiting list, we'll wait until this thing passes. But however, at the opposite end of that spectrum, we've had about 5 or 6 who've been dedicated, and for that we are truly grateful. So the subs issue hasn't been too bad of an issue. It's been our teachers going through a variety of circumstances, and I'll just leave it at that. That's been the struggle, yeah.
Thank you. And how has the governor's executive orders and decisions affected our schools?
So Governor Bill Lee's executive orders, they are the overarching decisions that impact both our district as well as the school. And it's been a major traumatic, I want to call it traumatic, situation, because what he says pretty much is the trend that the school district as well as schools are supposed to comply. However, there is a way for the districts to circumvent what he says and put some other things in place, but it's just truly financially not a thing for us to do. So what he says, the governor pretty much goes. And one perfect example is this latest executive order, which is the opt-in, opt-out mask mandate, where parents have an opportunity to say, I don't want my child to wear a mask, or vice versa, regardless of what the school district has decided. And so his decision overrides everything. However, we're just struggling with when it's different from what our school or school district desires to put in place.
You mentioned the ability of the school board to kind of circumvent some of his decisions. What factors will the board look at when determining whether students will stay in school or go online?
Okay, so we know that the governor has said in person is the order for the day. When the state of emergency was lifted back in the spring, Governor Bill Lee's order is come the fall, we are going to be in class as opposed to virtual learning. So some districts within the state did opt the virtual school, which only a very few had the opportunity to utilize the virtual learning. Those rules and regs were pretty stringent, which pretty much means that our district would have to have a total separate principal, total separate schools. It was so many rules in place that the majority of the schools in the district could not comply. Only the bigger ones, maybe Shelby and probably Davidson County, were able to keep the virtual in place. So virtual is not an option. It did work well for a very small number of students, but being in person is the order for the day, regardless of this COVID rearing its ugly head once more. So we've had to battle through, and it's been a challenge. But we're not defeated. We're not defeated. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The Hardeman County Board of Education and Bolivar Central's administration are doing the best they can for our students' safety. Back to you.
Since COVID is on the rise, I sat down briefly with Lisa Raines to discuss the precautions being taken to slow and stop the spread. Hey, Ms. Raines, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Juliana?
I'm good. Can you tell me about the new mask and vaccine guidelines are?
Sure. So the Hardeman County Board of Education tries very hard to do two things. One, we want the students to be in school because we feel like that's the best place for the students is in the classroom. But on the other hand, we want the students to be safe too. So it's a fine balance trying to make sure everyone's safe, but to keep the ones that are healthy and have not been exposed to this virus in school. So we did develop some new guidelines, and the new guidelines say that if you have been fully vaccinated, in other words, you received both vaccines of either Moderna or the Pfizer, or you got the J&J, and it's been 2 weeks since you've had them, then you're considered fully vaccinated. And if you were exposed to someone at school who had tested positive for the virus and accidentally were sitting beside them, of course usually the person doesn't know it, then you would not have to quarantine. Number one, if you had your mask on and you've been wearing it correctly for the entire, while you're at school, you're wearing your mask and wearing it correctly. If you've been fully vaccinated, you do not have to quarantine unless you have symptoms. So even if you're vaccinated and you've had symptoms, you have to go home. Anytime anybody is sick at school, they have to go home.
Who all was involved in the making of the new guidelines?
So we mirror what the Centers for Disease Control, or the CDC, they send out recommendations, and then the Tennessee Department of Health takes those recommendations from the CDC and they send out guidelines to all the school districts. So we try very hard to follow what the Tennessee Department of Health has set up.
Okay. How do you hope that these new guidelines will prevent the spread of the virus in our school systems?
Well, before, like last August, when school started, we had very few students that were sick. And actually, when students came to school with the virus, it was rare that we heard any of them actually got the disease. This school year, however, with the Delta variant, it's very contagious, and it's much different than what it was last year. That was the Alpha variant. So this is a different type of coronavirus, so it's much more contagious. So we really have to be careful, because now we're seeing that yes, if someone was seated within 3 feet for 15 minutes or more, that sometimes those people end up getting sick too. So we're trying real hard to make sure that people who were exposed stay home for the 10-day period to make sure they don't start having symptoms and have to go get tested themselves.
Do you think these guidelines will stay in place long?
Well, that's one thing about the guidelines. The virus changes, and so the guidelines change. So we kind of have to stay abreast of what the CDC is telling us, because you're right. When things change with the virus, we a lot of times see different guidelines come out as well.
Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The school held its first Freshman Academy before the official start of school. Catie Foster has more.
Freshman Academy was held from 8 to 1 for 1 week during the summer. I spoke to Miss Bell to get more insight on Freshman Academy. You held your first Freshman Academy this summer. What exactly is Freshman Academy?
Freshman Academy is a 9th grade program. We held it for the first time in July. Our goal for Freshman Academy was to discuss our expectations for our incoming freshmen. Additionally, we went over basic skills in reading and math. And the most important thing that we did, every day we took a tour of the building so the students would be acclimated to Bolivar Central High School upon entering the doors in August.
Would you say Freshman Academy was a success?
Yes, I think it was a success. However, I wish we would have had more students to have participated. So hopefully next year, after the 9th graders heard about what happened this past year, the fun, maybe they will tell the incoming 9th graders about the fun that we had at Freshman Academy, and they will want to attend next summer.
Freshman Academy was such a hit this year. We can't wait to see the changes to come next year. Back to you.
September is college application month for our seniors. Cooper Henson spoke with the senior class school counselor, Ms. Fulghum, about this month.
During September, many seniors will begin the process of applying for college. I spoke to Ms. Fulghum about College Application Month. Hey, Ms. Fulghum, what is College Application Month?
College Application Month is an extension of the former College App Week. And what we'll be doing during that month is I will be visiting all the senior math classes. We will be completing the Tennessee Promise application online, and we will give students an opportunity to complete one online college application.
Have you noticed any changes to the application process due to COVID-19?
It's definitely become more remote. And by that, I mean they are fully utilizing online capabilities. Applications are done online. They've even gone so far as having some orientation sessions online. And so it's very important for students to not only apply online, but follow up, check emails regularly for updates from their colleges.
Do you have any advice for seniors applying now for college?
Yes. Just think seriously about what you might want to do. Keep those GPAs up. I know you're not certain of the path you want to take, but have some options and be sure the colleges that you're selecting offer those options you're interested in.
And finally, do you have any advice for underclassmen that are looking to get a head start on college?
Like I told the seniors, focus on your GPA. ACT is super important, so take advantage of any ACT prep that you can get your hands on. I know the ACT student website has ACT prep, and we also offer some opportunities here at school, so be sure you're taking advantage of those.
Thank you. Applying for college can be a very confusing process. Thankfully, our BCHS staff is here to help us out. Back to you.
Even though school has just started, a few clubs are already in full swing. Gracyn Boyd and Emily Gibson have updates on a few of these clubs.
I spoke with Avery King with details of our very own FCS, the Fellowship of Christian Students. Why did we change the name of SCA to FCS?
Because FCA stood for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and all the students thought that they couldn't come because they weren't athletes, so we changed it to Fellowship of Christian Students so everybody felt welcome.
When and where do these meetings take place?
Every Tuesday morning in the auditorium at 7:30.
What is the goal of these meetings of FCS?
Well, for one, we want people to be able to come there and feel safe and hear the name of Jesus, maybe for the first time or, to get to know him better. And then the other reason is so that we can continue to grow in our faith and just mature with each other and hold each other accountable.
How would you like to see these meetings proceed in the future?
Right now, it's starting off with just maybe 10 to 15 people, and a lot of them go to the same church, and we want to see more than just them come. We want to see people from different churches, and we really would like it if a lot of the school showed up for the meetings.
Thank you. Remember that FCS is open to all students at BCHS.
I asked Mr. Gibson to elaborate on the details of FFA's current fundraiser. Mr. Gibson, you've been an FFA advisor now for 8 years. Can you tell us a little bit about FFA?
Sure, Emily. The FFA is a youth organization that is operated through the high schools across America. It's a national organization that reaches all the way from Maine to the Virgin Islands. So anything that the United States owns or is a property of, they have the ability to have FFA in their high school. Or our FFA chapter here at Bolivar allows students to fundraise, go to different competitions, travel across the state of Tennessee, and in some cases even across the nation.
How does the money you raise from the fundraiser you're doing this year contribute to FFA? You're doing a mum sale.
The mum sale fundraiser will go to generate funds to help students that cannot afford to pay some of the different costs that will come up throughout the year, such as hotel rooms, conference fees. Even after contests, we take students out for a dinner on the way home. So we make that as most economically feasible for the students as possible.
Thank you for your time. FFA will stop selling mums on September 20th. They are $20 each and come in many colors: yellow, red, orange, white, and purple. They will be delivered on September 24th and will need to be picked up in the ag shop. Back to you.
Finally, on this edition of the Tiger Time News, fall sports have already started, but COVID has already affected 2 of them. Campbell Emerson spoke with the coaches about their ongoing seasons.
This past week, I had the privilege of interviewing this year's fall sports coaches. Here's what they had to say. Coach Emerson, what is your outlook for this year's volleyball season?
Campbell, so far, we look good. We're very competitive with the teams that we've played. We've had some very good sets. We are young with only 2 seniors, so just looking forward to a great year and learning a lot.
Are there any COVID restrictions that could hold you back?
Right now, no. TWSAA did not enforce anything upon us. I am encouraging my girls to wear a mask at school due to the new updated rules from Hardeman County.
And how will you build off the previous games that you've already played?
It's just a learning experience right now. I need them to build some confidence in themselves. We're right there at the tip, and we just need to get over the hill.
Like you said, you have a young team. Who are the leaders for that team?
I have 2 seniors in Brooke Hickey and Mackenzie Parham. They're great leaders. Brooke's been with me for 4 years, Mackenzie for 3. They're just good girls, good students, and just great examples for the younger ones.
Thank you. Coach Hobbs, how will your outlook be for this season?
I think we should have a good season this year. I've got 2 seniors running, and both of them should be pretty good runners.
Is there any COVID restrictions that will hold you back this season?
No, cross country is mainly outside running, so as far as running and practicing, we don't use the mask or anything like that. At the races, we'll wear masks, when we're around the big groups there before preparing for the race, but once we're running, we don't wear masks or anything.
Is there an opponent that your team looks most for?
We really don't run against opponents per se. I mean, there's other racers there, but we're mainly running against ourselves, trying to better our times and compete, for a certain time that'll get us to the state cross country meet.
Thank you, Coach Stack. After playing 4 matches, how do you feel about the future of the season?
I feel as though it's a pretty bright future. We've played some good matches so far. We've had some good scores, both boys and girls scores. So I do look to see us advancing in the playoffs.
After already having quarantine affect your team, how will you handle COVID through the rest of the season?
Hopefully, with the new school rules, we don't have much of a problem anymore. But with the boys, they just had to step up. Whoever was out, somebody below them had to step up and fill their spot. Girls, we hadn't had an issue so far. Hopefully we'll continue in that trend.
With a relatively big boys team, who has been leaders that have stepped up?
Leaders this year have been Tyler, he has been quarantined, but he is the only senior, so we do look for him for the leadership role. Also been leading in scoring has been Carson Daniel and Tucker Parker as well.
Thank you. Coach Williams, how's the outlook for this year's football season?
We're very optimistic about it. We've had quite a few people come back from last year, so just getting in the right direction and headed the right way.
How are you and the team handling COVID throughout the season?
So far it's been pretty tough, but like I said, we're wearing masks. We're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing, so just trying to get past it.
Who do you think is going to be the biggest opponent you will face?
We have a lot, especially coming up this week. We have Ripley, who's a district opponent, so that'll be our first big test of the year.
Thank you. As you can see, sports are still a really big part of Bolivar Central. Back to you.
That's all for this edition. As a new feature this year, we will be rotating different news anchors throughout the year, so look for 2 different students behind the desk next month.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and always go Tigers!